Hello, everybody. This is a weird angle. I switched out my chair for a yoga ball. I apologize from the unlikely event if I'm going like this. But, anyways, I had to switch it out because I was getting some really bad, lumbar pain. And I just have horrible posture when I'm sitting here at my computer for hours on end editing videos. So far, so good. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, just the backstory there. Hello, Helena. Thank you for. Oh, you got your fermenting book. Awesome. Rosanna and Linda. Hello. My growing zone in Western Kentucky is 67. What is it where you are? 7 something. I'm not sure. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to growing zone because I don't grow a lot of perennials. Once I do start growing perennials, I'll pay more attention to that, but it doesn't really affect me in my annual growth, so I don't worry about it. Carolyn and Katie, Holly, Rebecca from Northwest Ohio, and DH, Debbie from Michigan, Becky, I almost forgot it was Monday. So did I. My sister reminded me like an hour ago. She sent me like 14,000 text messages. Are you going live? Are you going live? Are you ignoring me? I'm going to keep messaging you until you reply to me. It was all within like 1 minute. And like she had sent me all of the messages by the time they like replayed on my phone, on my computer. So yeah, she's probably, well, my 7:30 alarm would have reminded me. So I would have remembered then. But I think my 5:30 reminder got shut off on my phone. So, anyways, I was editing tomorrow's video. Hopefully, you guys like it. It is chicken soup. Let me see. Amy from Virginia and Anna, hello, from Kentucky. Kathy from Virginia. Good evening from Texas. Hello, and Melissa. And Deborah from Calico Rock. Nancy B from Wisconsin. Dominic from Chicago. There she is. My sister's here. Deborah, hello. Amy from Northern Nevada. Do you say Nevada or Nevada? You're not going to be able to relay that. Anyways, I don't know. Rosemary from Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Ooh, I bet it's getting hot down there. And Terry from Bakersfield. Michelle from Michigan. Sherilyn from Colorado. Hello. And Kathy from Arkansas. Go Jean Go from it's cruising from Fenton, Missouri. Amy from Virginia, Rhode Island, Arizona, West Michigan, Tennessee. Just pulled into park at a truck stop, went in, and they had pickled apples. Pickled apples? That sounds interesting. Holly, how are the new gardens? They're doing pretty good. I'm sick, so I didn't do anything in the garden today. I did do a whole bunch yesterday. The owner of the excavator would like to have the excavator back this weekend. So we just kind of started doing some stuff that we want to do with the excavator. And then I woke up sick this morning. So fun times. I'm feeling a lot better though. I've been doing all my immune boosting stuff. Central East Missouri. Sweet. You're on the other end of the state. Hello from Champaign, Illinois. Got my first ferments going. 2 jars of Brussels sprouts and a quart of carrots with garlic and ginger. That sounds delicious. I just jarred up all those ferments that we made together like 3 weeks to a month ago. It's backwards on the screen, so I'm like, it's the wrong side. But yeah, I got those all jarred up and in the fridge today, so I'm excited to have those because I've been missing ferments. Matt and Barb from Alaska. Bonnie's Naughty Pine Kitchen, south of Traverse City, Michigan. Sweet. Have you gotten more of your seeds to germinate? Some more of the tomatoes that I had originally started have germinated, but the ones that I just started a few days ago, they haven't started to germinate yet. But fingers crossed. And no more of the other ones that did not germinate have germinated, apart from the one like the tomatoes that I had just started. So none of the ones that I planted like 3 weeks to a month ago, no more of those have popped up. So I think I made a good decision with everything but the tomatoes. But I mean, I'll just have extra tomato starch. So big problem to have, right? Well, it kind of is a problem when it's 400, but I'll just sell the extras and give them away. I already have a couple people who want some locally, that, just friends that I'll give them to. One's going to trade me for donuts, and I'm like, I'm carnivore, but hubby will like the donuts, and they're sourdough made with organic ingredients, so I might try one. You recommend saving backup kefir grains, freezing, drying. I'd love some instruction from you. Um, I've never done either one, but because I usually just eat them, like I just drink them, and it's like a little gummy bear. But um, my understanding, if you do freeze it, you need to um like freeze it in milk. Like you can't just take the grains and freeze them. All their cells will burst. It'll be a bad thing. But I'm told you can freeze them, and you can dehydrate them as well. But I have found I've tried to rehydrate a couple different types of milk kefir and grains, and I just found they didn't thrive as well. So honestly, I just consume them. You can give them to the chickens. You can give them to your animal. Any of your animals would love them. Chickens, cats, dogs, they all chow them down because they're good for you. So you should put them in your own belly. That's my opinion. Or I just send them off to friends. Yoga ball, of course. I thought she was sitting on a trampoline. Nope, it's a yoga ball. I was having, for anybody who missed the beginning part, I was having some pretty bad lower back problems. I have two back injuries to my lower back. And so the last 6 months or so, like, I can't remember exactly when. I think it was like late last winter. I did something to my back, and I was like literally laid up for like a week. I could not move. It was excruciating. And I went to the chiropractor, and I picked the wrong chiropractor. He made it significantly worse. It took me a half an hour just to get off the table. And then, not to mention, it was another half hour to get me into my car. I was in so much pain. It was awful. Like, I won't name the chiropractor, but I will never return there. And I will always caution friends to never go there. Um, but it was terrible. It was really bad. And I couldn't get anybody else to take me as a new client. So I just ended up as a new client, like then. Like they were like, sure, we'll make you a new client appointment for like a month. And I was like, I'm in pain. So I just tossed it out. But anyways, ever since then, it's just been kind of a lingering, kind of mild problem off and on. And I think it stems from slouching in my chair when I'm sitting here for hours on end editing. So I decided to switch it out for a yoga ball because I have much better posture on a yoga ball, and I can bounce around, and it helps my ADHD because I can just sit here and do this and be distracted so that I can actually focus on what I need to focus on. Because anybody who doesn't have ADHD, you have to distract the squirrels in your head so you can focus. That's why, like, listening to music while studying really helps. Like, you got to distract the squirrels, and then you can focus. Anyways, okay, hi. Considering that kefir bacteria feed on lactose, what part does the fat content play in milk? Is there whole milk kefir or more successful than 1% or 2%? I don't know if it's necessarily more successful, but I just use raw milk and I don't filter it out. I used to skim off the cream from the top, just because it has like oftentimes it can have like a funky layer on top there. But recently I don't really mind whatever's on top, or I guess I don't notice it as much. But I would assume that, yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a detriment to using the fat because, I mean, the fat helps you to digest stuff and it's good for you. So, I mean, if you're just buying the stuff in the store, skim milk is gross. So why would you want it? That's about my own reason for it. It's just because it's gross. I don't know one way or the other. I don't think it would like hinder the fermentation at all. Like maybe it's possible that there's just not as much food in it there for it. That would be my only thought about it. I never thought about it, honestly. But I would always go for the whole milk. Just because it's better for you. Ducked out of a meeting to get in here. Oh, you're so sweet. Here from Southwest Missouri, watching the weather change, heading our way tomorrow. I don't know what we're getting. I haven't looked at the weather. I've been enjoying the sunlight today, getting my vitamin D and my sun exposure to help with feeling icky. I'm looking. I'm looking. It's loading. Hold, please. It's loading. It's not loading. My internet sucks the last couple days. There it goes. Daily. Doesn't look like we have any kind of weather shift coming. It looks like Thursday we might have a thunderstorm, but that's about it. Lower to upper 70s to pretty much mid 60s. I'm happy with that. I'll take it. Question: your beet kvass that was a year out, did you remove the beetroot from it? Yes, I did. There's no reason that you cannot eat the beets. It's basically fermented beets, but I don't tend to eat them, especially when it's been fermented for that long, because it would just, most of the good elements have been extracted into the liquid. Yoga can be your best friend. I'm not a fan of yoga. I like it, but I just I don't care to do it. I also ordered some asparagus crowns and some rhubarb. They said it was able to grow in my zone. I want to do asparagus. I hate rhubarb with a fiery passion. It is so gross. No offense, but I don't understand why anybody eats it. Hello, Mennonite Farmhouse. How are you doing today? Happy to see you on board today. Empire Creek Farm. Ooh, we got a full house here today. What does everyone think about Amos? I feel like he is being persecuted to prove a point and to make other people back down. And I pray every day. I don't pray every day, but I pray that he will have the support and the financial. Hopefully, he's taking donations so that he can pursue in his fight and win, because he's right. They're wrong. They tricked him into signing a piece of paper, and now they're just trying to hold it over his head, and they're trying to crush him. They're trying to prove a point by crushing him. And I pray that he does not withdraw, and I pray that he does not kowtow. So that's my opinion. What's everybody else's opinion? That's a good topic. Milk needs whole milk, not ultra pasteurized, to have something to eat and make kefir. Raw milk, just shake it up and use the whole thing. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Milk needs whole milk, not ultra pasteurized. The pasteurization doesn't affect the sugar content of it. I mean, obviously, raw milk is far, far, far unbelievably superior. I even have a shirt that says raw milk. I have two shirts, actually. This one says it too, but I have one that just says raw milk. I'm a big fan of raw milk. That was one thing that excluded several different states that we were considering moving to, is because raw milk sales weren't allowed. Not even joking. We probably were always going to end up in Missouri, but we were considering other ones, and I was like, nope, not that one. Can't have raw milk. Because while I would love to have a cow, we don't have one yet, and I don't want to get one before I'm ready. That's not true. I totally want to get one before I'm ready, but I have a husband who has better judgment than I do, so I yield to his better wisdom. Looks like we might have colder temps, but we are north of Springfield. Oh, do you ever go to the Ozark Farmers Market? I don't know how far north of Springfield you are, but give your rhubarb about 4 square feet to grow. That's good to know. I'm not going to grow rhubarb, but for anybody who is growing rhubarb, you do that. I made fermented mayo. Love it. How long will it keep in the fridge? Long time. Long time. Because it's preserved with the acids. Like it's preserved food, so it won't last as long as like sauerkraut. But like you could easily get no question, a month, but most likely longer, especially if you, well, I mean, it depends on how often you open it, how much airspace there is in a jar. If you can use a jar that has the smallest amount of airspace, like teeny tiny little air gap in there, it'll last longer because there's not as much air in there to break it down. That's my opinion. I'm fermenting garlic in 4 different pint jars. One of my jars got cum yeast on it, and it is one I used herb de Provence on it. It's only been 2.5 weeks. Do I leave it alone? Oh no, skim off the yeast and keep a very close eye on it, because once it has started, it will continue. And the more that you are able to scoop off the top, the less funky flavor you'll get. Because calm yeast is not dangerous, it is not toxic, but it will give it an off flavor. So just make sure you scoop off as much as you can, and that will reduce the spread of it, because once it's there, it's there. Period. End of story. So it will continue to grow. You just got to keep scooping it off and get as much as you can. I meant to ask, what stage you remove the beets from the kvass? Just when I would drink it. He needs to fight. I agree. Oh, it zoomed me to the bottom. And what is the difference between fermenting vegetables versus fruit? Do you still use salt? Yes. The salt does two things. It turns it into a salty environment that most pathogenic bacteria do not like and cannot thrive in, and it also preserves the pectins in the vegetables. So if you omit the salt, like if you're making fermented applesauce, probably don't need to add much, if any, because it's a short ferment. But you can just add a starter culture from another ferment to, like, say, fermented applesauce, and it will inoculate. That's what I usually do with fruits. Fruits are the only thing that I really add starter cultures to, because it's really easy for a fruit ferment to just go wonky on its own. So if you give it a good established starter culture, you're going to guide it in the right direction. So you don't really have to use as much or any salt. I don't want to say no salt, but you can make a sweeter ferment if you omit the salt and add in the starter culture. So you're kind of, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say with that. There was something there, but anyways. What are you even talking about? Oh my gosh, Tiffany, if you don't know about Amos Miller, you need to look up Amos Miller. He is like, yeah, look up Amos Miller in Pennsylvania. We can sell pet milk in Pennsylvania. Yeah, but then like in Washington, you could do that, but you had to dye it green. So I don't know. I'm just, raw milk is very important. The Amos Miller case angers me because of what is being done to him. I'm going to purchase some items from his website in order to support him. You can do that. He's got a website and he can still sell that stuff. Is he only not allowed to sell certain things? I was under the impression that he was completely shut down. But granted, I have not kept a super close eye on it, but there is some, I can't remember her name, but she's one of the journalists who's allowed in the courtroom, and she's been covering it, and like, because it's very hush hush, like they are really not allowing much in the courtroom at all. Like they wouldn't even allow people to take notes, like people who are there, like they confiscated the notes at the exit unless you had like a certified journal press pass. It's crazy. All milk, whole 2% and 1% or skim have the same amount of lactose according to the FDA. Well, I mean, it's just like as far as like volume goes, I mean, it wouldn't have the same amount of lactose because there's no lactose in fat. So if you have like a jar of raw milk and this much of it is fat, only this much of it is going to have a lactose content to it. I need to think about that. I'm sure it would have some. Huh. You've given me something to think about. Because even if you just skim off the top, you're probably right. I didn't even think about that. You're right. Because even if you skim it off the top, and if you make, like, say, if you take the cream and you make butter out of it, there's still all this leftover buttermilk that is going to have lactose in it. So, and there's still lactose in butter, just not as much. Yeah, right. My bad. Is it supposed to be in the mid 70s tomorrow in Northwest Missouri, same as today? It was a nice day today. Goshen Prepping, hello, doing great here. Is there a difference between milk and pet milk? No. It's just packaged differently. Some places, like in Washington, they made you dye it a green, unappetizing green color. But you know, technically, no. Wait, you are talking fast. I always talk fast. I'm sorry. That's just my brain is moving a million miles an hour. I apologize, but I can't change the pace that I speak. I start my cabbage ferment tomorrow, soon to have sauerkraut. Ooh, I'm excited for you. Um, there's no difference, but pet milk means people shouldn't drink it, but when it leaves our hands, you could drink it if you like. Exactly. She's a dairy farmer, so she knows what she's talking about. Um, in Pennsylvania, actually. He's only prohibited from selling his raw milk. Okay, because I thought there was an issue with his meat as well. Like he wasn't getting it processed at a USDA facility or something like that. So, yeah, I guess I need to do more research on it. But Amos Miller is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is 2 hours from me. The state wants him to have a permit, like a food service permit. Yes. However, the permit that they want him to get makes it so that he can only produce three of the items that he does: raw milk, yogurt, and I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head what the third one is. And all of his other products he cannot sell. So that's why he's not. Well, I'm sure there's other reasons too, but that's one of the reasons he's not doing it. Yes, the shepherdess is that the journalist you referred to. Yes, that is her. Thank you. Let me see. Raven, hello. I'm glad you're here. He is shut down as of last week, but there is a website I am in to purchase. Wow, didn't know that. Can you give us the website name? Like, you won't be able to type out an actual website, but what is like? Can you like do the spaces and the things so that we can decode what the website is? Um, we made sauerkraut and white cabbage, carrot kraut, and beet kraut. That sounds delicious. Put in the fridge for 6 to 7 days, and it's divine. Thank you. Would never have done it without this channel. I'm so excited. I just tasted my first red cabbage kraut. It's just straight red cabbage. Oh my gosh, it's like sweet. I had no idea. It was literally just salt and cabbage. I didn't add anything else to it at all. And I was doing the taste test. You guys will see that on Thursday. It's actually had sweetness to it. I was like, what? I'm going to make this again. It was good. Is it okay to post a link in chat too? It won't allow you to post a link, as far as I know, but you can decode it and then I can copy and paste it into a link. Beginning of this month, his lawyer said he isn't even allowed to feed his own family his food. What? See? They're just crucifying the dude. They're nailing him to the wall. They are proving a point. They're trying to get other people to back down. It's got nothing to do with him. It's just that he was the one willing to fight. The PDA is trying to control all food everywhere and is using Amos Miller as an example. Exactly, Carmen. Exactly. Is it safe to pressure can beef kielbasa? No. It most of the time it is not okay. I think it would depend on how it was preserved, but if you look on the label and it says nitrite in there, it is not, because nitrite, it changes the density of the food. My understanding, you can't straight like just a jar of kielbasa, but if you want to do like a gumbo or something like that, depending on the recipe, obviously this is not a blanket statement, but if you want to add the kielbasa to um, a, and something that is, a good, safe recipe in all other respects, you can add a small portion of it to there, and that is fine because it's a density issue. If there's nitrites in there, it changes the density of the food, meaning that it is an undetermined amount of time how long it will take for the heat inside of the canner to penetrate to the center, because you have to heat you have all the canning times are basically set up to where the heat from the outside can penetrate through and get it up to a 200, I think it's 240 degrees for 15 minutes. So it's all like, like if you have the meat time that is, this certain period of time, I think it's like 75 minutes for a pint jar. That's how long that they have established that it takes to get to the very center of everything that is in there and keep it at that elevated temperature for that period of time that is required in order to get rid of any risk of botulism. So if the meat is artificially made to be denser, it's not a guarantee that it can get to the center of it. So by starter culture, are you talking about a ginger bug or a little raw kraut or pickle juice? All of the above. Anything that is naturally fermented and has not been killed off. So if it's a naturally fermented pickle juice that has not been heat treated at all, then yes, that is what I'm talking about. But you can use just about anything. I caution people not to use kombucha for certain things, because kombucha Kombucha is an aerobic ferment, meaning it needs air to survive, whereas most like vegetable ferments and things are anaerobic, which means it doesn't need the air to survive. In fact, it needs the absence of air to be able to survive and thrive and do all of its wonderful, beautiful things. So just pick the right one depending on what you're making. Hello, Tim. I haven't seen you for a while. How you been? The shepherdess has been doing a wonderful job. I agree. In Pennsylvania, to sell meat, you are required to have USDA inspector while you are butchering. That's pretty standard just about everywhere, as far as I know. There is a poultry exception in, I don't know if it's everywhere, but it is in Missouri, where you can sell up to a certain amount without having them processed at a USDA facility. Amos Miller Organic Farm. Oh, the website. Okay. Amos Miller Organic Farm. I'm getting a website for you guys. And copy. And paste. There's Miller's website. I can't check it out now, but I have it saved up on my tab there. So if you want to support him in his efforts to be able to continue to fight, because his victory or defeat will affect everybody. He's like a landmark case that everybody needs to get behind and make sure that he wins this thing, because he's fighting. He ain't just fighting for himself. His outcome is going to determine what happens to everybody. I'm a Canadian, and I know about Amos Miller. That is so sad. I feel the same. They are making an example out of him. Not nice of them. Sounded like he wasn't allowed to sell or give any to his family either. It's ridiculous that he can't even feed his own family the food that he wants to. There's nothing unsafe about it. Yes, ours was sweetness in it too. Literally just the cabbage and salt. Yeah, I was surprised by that. I used to live in Dubois, Pennsylvania. Pronounced, Du Bois. You literally even put the pronunciation below it. I was so wrong. It's so wrong what they're doing to him. Absolutely, situation is so sad. They want control of our gardens. I know. That's why I've never pursued the greenhouse grants and stuff like that. I've considered it, but I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And I would qualify. I could probably qualify for it really easily, but the agricultural grants and stuff, like, who knows what they're going to come back with in the future and be like, well, we paid for it, so we're going to use it, or we're going to confiscate it, or we're going to do whatever we want to do with it. So I'm just like, fine, you ain't paying for nothing. Control the food, control the people. Exactly. Remember Amos at the polls. Absolutely. They are trying to make farmers scared to sell their farm-raised food products. That's exactly what they're trying to do, because they can't control it, and they know that it's medicine. They know that it's what heals people, and what basically determines the health of people. So if they're, anyways, it goes down a whole different rabbit hole. All right, so that's crazy because red cabbage is peppery. It is weird how it turned out that way. Also, they love to make people afraid because they're easier to control when they're thinking with a scared mind. You know it, girl. See if I can scroll down without zooming. Nope. Lemon dill is my favorite. Comes from the book Fermented Vegetables. I have that one over there by Kristen Shockey. Lots of good recipes in that book. There is. I think she meant USDA, probably just a typo. Oh, probably the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, I would imagine. My first time in your live chat, and I must say your ADD, ADHD keeps you on point. It's totally rocks. I think you're made for live chat. It does help me to be able to be distracted, to be able to do both things. But yeah, I need to try that. Homesteading Homestead. Hello. Mike Evans. Hello. How are you doing today? Oh, it zoomed me down. Dang it. Oh, and Heather's here too. Hello. So true. It's controlling with fear and Scared person is easy to manipulate. Interested RE kombucha needing to be aerobic. We're going to try that next. Yeah, it basically, that's why you put the cloth over it. Anything that requires a cloth on top of it is something that needs to breathe. It's something that needs air to ferment. So, and then anything like sauerkraut, most vegetable ferments, things like that, like they need air, as much air as possible to be removed from it in order to ferment. So that would be ones that use like airlocks for, like, because if you make vinegar, right, and you put the cloth over it, but then like the vinegar is done, and you put a lid on it, with time it will turn into alcohol. Alcohol is one that's created in the lack of oxygen. The initial stages are created with oxygen. Are they? I don't know. I've never been much luck at making at making alcohol, so I don't know. That's Robert's purview. Drank the Island Girl Honeycrisp kombucha today with added cranberry juice. Kids loved it. Awesome. Control food, control the people. Tiff, you're so right. They do not want small farms or backyard gardens to be prolific. That's the truth. It's not a free country anymore. It hasn't been a free country in a long time. Just look at how much we pay in taxes. What do we get for it? A bunch of corrupt politicians paying off other countries. Oh, see, I never come in here with an agenda or things that I want to talk about unless like I have some specific thing that I want to, like an announcement. It's so much fun. Like you never know the direction that this live chat is going to go in. It's like a whole hour of like whatever it might be. Who knows? Please send good thoughts on Amos Miller's behalf. Absolutely. Tim, I hope you can run soon. Oh, recovering from my knee replacement. Sweet. How did it go? Just to share more information, the spending bill that was passed includes funding start digital trackers for cattle. Not surprising. Mennonite farmhouse, it's going well. Awesome. Believe colostrum is the other item that Amos Miller isn't allowed to sell. He's not allowed to sell anything. I mean, maybe some stuff online. I'm curious. Let me look. What can he sell? Oh, he's even got a link to Weston A. Price in there. You can become a member. Blog favorites, cart, contact. I don't see anything about a store on here. Oh, shop online. We invite you to become familiar with our farming practices. To learn more about us here, watch a video. Let me click on shop online. I wonder if you can actually sell this stuff. You can buy cultures. You can buy soaps, cod liver oil, nuts, live probiotic cultures. You have to log in and register to order. You can buy kefir grains, kombucha, and jun. Interesting. I'm going to stop looking at that while I'm in the live chat. Sorry, I was trying to explore to see if maybe there's like a t-shirt or something I can get. Let me see. They do not talk about his case in the Pittsburgh area at all. They don't talk about it much anywhere. As far as I know, like the only people that I've seen talk about it are like alternative journalists and stuff. You look like you were having fun with that exclamator. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's a lot of fun. I want to get one. I mean, I don't have the money to get one, but whenever I do get the money, I'm totally getting a Mini X. Absolutely. It zoomed me the bottom again. You can be nosy. She's older and we have one more sister. I missed whatever you were not being nosy about. I'm just trying to keep up, but I'm not doing a good job. I'm sorry. I made your beet kraut this weekend. Can't wait to taste the results. I just tasted mine as I put it away. It's delicious. I put a tight lid on my milk kefir. It makes it a little fizzy. I put it on the second ferment. I don't put it on the first one. I put a lid on there, but it's not super snug. So technically it can still breathe while I'm making the first ferment. But the second ferment, I crank that lid. I like it when it gets a little bubbly like that. It's so good. Most people are like, what? Bubbly milk? And I'm just like, it's just an effervescence. It's like it's drinking sunshine. It's so good. Made your chocolate chip sourdough cookies and Cheez-Its and made them Gluten-free too. They were so good. See, Tiffany? See? She made the chocolate chip cookies and she screwed it up and tried to blame it on me and said it was a crappy recipe. And I was like, no, no, you just didn't know how to cook it or you didn't cook it well. I don't know what. Supervisor at work told me once ADHD is a superpower. It is a mix, okay? Sometimes it is the most excruciating because it comes with all sorts of things. It's not just a lack of attention sometimes. It is like sometimes like I have this thing, I have to do this thing, right? Is a super important thing. I need to do it. It'd be so helpful if I could do it right now instead of waiting until like a half an hour before. But it's like I literally cannot force myself to do this thing if I'm not interested in it, even though it really needs to be done. And it's not just that, it's like rejection sensitivity disorder. It's like having like really random intrusive thoughts, like the social awkwardness. It's like some people get like mass depression with it, and it's awful. Anxiety. I mean, like it's not just this one thing. Like it's your whole brain is different than other people's brain. Like my brain developed differently than other people's brains. Like there are things that I can do to kind of, I don't know, patch things together to make things a little better. Like my brain just doesn't produce the dopamine that most people do. And that's why like I'm so focused, like people with ADHD, like they focus so hard on this thing. It's because it gives you dopamine. And that's why you generally stop like 90% of the way through a project because the dopamine's dried up and you're just like, this isn't making me happy anymore. I'm done. you know, I have a friend, Julie from Roanco Farms, and she always referred to herself as a 90%er because she would finish a project up to 90% and then she would move on. And then when I discovered that I have ADHD and I'm starting to describe the symptoms and like the things that I've discovered about it, and she's like, I think I have ADHD too. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Sometimes it is a blessing and it is can absolutely be a superpower. 100%. But like all the other times that it's not, it kind of sucks sometimes. It does. The movie Soylent Green scared the crap out of me in a way and is even scarier now. I've never seen that one, but I want to. What is Robert's YouTube name? He doesn't have a YouTube channel. Digital what for cattle? Yeah. I'm good. Great night today. Awesome. Carrot cake kraut. I made the carrot kraut and it was an epic failure. It overflowed and then it went dry and turned brown. Operator error. Yeah, a little bit. Carrots are a very active ferment, so you really got to watch them. And when you grate them, as opposed to like cutting them into like discs or sticks or something like that, is more surface is exposed, and that means more sugar is exposed to be fermented very quickly. So shredded carrots ferment very quickly. I can't get this thing to zoom. Come on. It's going to zoom me the bottom, isn't it? What is Robert's YouTube name? He doesn't have a YouTube channel. I have ADD and dyslexia. I have dyslexia too. Those are one thing that also goes hand in hand. It sucks. Bet you can't guess how great I did in school growing up, never being diagnosed with either one. It was so much not fun. Raw milk can't be sold in Michigan, but you can buy a share of a cow. I've heard of a lot of people doing that. I think Ohio is the same way, if I do recall. But that's kind of like what Amos Miller is going through. Like he sold everything through a private membership, like that should be completely unregulated. Should be able to do anything he wants, but it's just two people, and it's just people entering into contract with one another and saying that they're. So it's like it should not. That's how he was able to get by doing it for so long. It's a private contract between private people, and they should be able to do whatever they want. And he should be, but they're trying to overstep their bounds, because my understanding is that like they tried to go in and scare him and get him to sign something, and he's just like, sure, why not? And then that signature basically screwed him over. What's this about vaccines and lettuce? I'm going to grade 12 this year. Good luck. Grade 12 was the only grade that I actually enjoyed. And I wasn't like some popular senior. It was just because, like, I don't know. It was just, I enjoyed it. Thank goodness for people like him. Most of us would be too scared to fight back. Absolutely. This dude's a national hero, if you ask me. I hope he sells t-shirts or something. I want to buy a t-shirt. Something to support him. Dyslexia is no fun either. Wondering if I have ADD. I never finished any project. Yeah, just like look up the symptoms of it. If you have dyslexia, you probably have it, and vice versa. It's once you figure out how different ways to manage it, it's so much easier. And that's like when you figure out how to manage it and maintain the management of it and the things that you need to do, that's when it kind of becomes a superpower. Like my whole first 40 years of life, it was just like I just felt like an alien. Like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why do I do it this way? Why am I, emotionally disconnected? Why am I all these different things? Why can't I make friends? Why do I have all these weird thoughts? And then my husband is the opposite. He's not ADHD in any way. He's actually like OCD. And so some of the things we'll have these conversations and like, because he's like, well, you just need to clear your mind. Just block everything out. And I'm like, what? Like the moment that he realized that my brain never turns off. Like there is never a moment where there's not like a herd of squirrels running around in my head. And he's like, you there's not just quiet. And I'm like, no. I was like, what are you thinking about right now? And he's like, nothing. And I'm just like, no, like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, nothing. And I was like, what's going on in your head? He's like, it's blank. There's nothing happening. It's just like turned off. I'm just relaxing. And I'm like, you can do that? How do you have a nothing going on in your brain? Like I don't know, I'm just relaxing. And I'm like, how do you do that? I didn't get diagnosed until I was 20 and not doing well in college. I always felt differently to other people. Yeah, I've never been diagnosed with any of that kind of stuff. I've just figured it out on my own. The dyslexia is just like I said, I've never been diagnosed, but it's like just mixing all of these different things up, and it's like just the way that my brain operates. And I haven't even thought about having dyslexia for a long time. I have to be more careful when I'm reading things to make sure I'm reading it correctly, and like I have to go back and reread things often. It's fun. I'm the same way, but my brain never turns off. Yep. I always thought that was just a guy thing, the ability to empty the brains. No, it's just whether you got ADHD or not. I'm sure there's other things that are effective or affect it, but yeah. How do you stop the squirrels? Music is the best way that I stop the squirrels. Just finding good music that I grew to. I don't listen to slow music almost ever. I don't listen to sad music. It's just fun music that makes me feel good and it distracts things. If I'm trying to focus on something like a nice, good, like good classical music is great, like real classical music, not like jazz or something like that. Ugh, no offense to anybody who likes jazz, but what's wrong with you? Um, but like a good like Mozart or Beethoven, stuff like that. It's still got the good flowing stuff that makes me happy, but it doesn't have the words to kind of to be a possible distraction. Like if I'm even when I'm editing videos, like I'll listen to music in the background so that I can focus on editing the music. Unless I'm editing clips that have music, then that works just fine. I like Moonlight Sonata. Yeah, didn't know that. Spam. What's spam? Spam emojis? Where's spam emojis? I don't see any spam emojis. I'm confused. You're not yawning, bouncing on your ball. Why'd you have to say that? Now I'm going to start. Oh, I wonder if the two are connected. I haven't yawned once. I wonder. Maybe it was my posture when I was sitting in the chair. It just made me start to yawn. Wow. That's an excellent thing you noticed, Linda. I didn't. And I've even said it like 14 times, and it still didn't make me yawn. Oh, game changer. Oh, have a good night. Farmer is home. Sweet. Go take care of your man. I have my favorite music playing on low while I'm at work. I watch all of these people on heart monitors and it helps me so much. Yeah, you got to be careful on that one. Oh my goodness. YouTube will think it's spam. Will think what's spam? I don't know. Well, I'm late, but I made it. Welcome, Mommy, regardless. I'm glad you made it. We still got like 14 minutes left. Great point, Linda. Yeah. Oh, game changer. Oh, Three Willows Farm. Thank you. Buy shorts. Buy new shorts. You don't like the shorts in my old video. Oh my goodness. You're so sweet. Thank you very much. I have a dozen things bouncing around my head every waking moment. Yep. Me too. It's a matter of getting it to focus. Like I've just like that's just what I've just got. Like I have to distract the herd of squirrels in my head. Like I'm playing with a needle right now. Like a I don't know, it's a crochet needle. I use it for crochet. But like fiddling with things, like if I'm just like being distracted with like a fidget spinner or some kind of fiddle thing, paper clips are great because they're quiet too. But if I distract the squirrels in my head with that or music or things like that, then I can focus on things. But the music has the added benefit of the dopamine because it makes me happy. And so it'll make me happy and distract me at the same time so I can focus on what I need to focus on. Too many emojis, YouTube thinks it's spam. Oh, I gotcha. I'm 71. Back when I was 7, they wanted to put me in the mental retarded students. Yeah. See? People just need to know and be given the tools to be able to cope. It's not my fault. My childhood was stressful, meaning my making my brain develop differently. But like nobody figured it out. Nobody even anything. Figured it out on my own dang self. I tried my first kraut ferment. It's turning darker color near the top, but all still under the brine. Should I do anything? It has been in the cupboard 7 days today. Well, it's gonna change color, but if it's, I would say you probably have. Do you have a towel on it instead of a tight fitting lid or an airlock? That would be my first question. When I was little, the doctor told my mom little girls couldn't be ADHD. I know, right? It's because we manifest differently. We manifest typically as the inattentive type, not the hyperactive type. And the inattentive type doesn't disrupt the classroom, so kids don't freaking um oh, I'm distracted. So anyways, the kids don't disrupt the class when they're just inattentive. It's just when they're hyperactive. So they don't get diagnosed. Anyways, Heather uses her new grain mill to stop the squirrels. It's a good way to do it. Fit in or get out seems to be the rule. Yeah. If I had a second kid, I never would have sent them to school ever. The only reason I sent Malachi to school is because I was a single mom until he was 14. So I didn't really have much of a choice. Um, Fit in or get out. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Childhood trauma. I don't know if I what would necessarily constitute trauma, but for me it was a very stress-filled childhood. I was raised by a single mom of 3 kids and, we were constantly shipped off, we were broke, there was lots of stuff that happened. So it was a very high stress childhood. So I'm sure there was stress. I just blocked them out. Who knows? Or trauma. It depends. I guess it depends. Like you don't really think about your own childhood as trauma until you actually look back at it. If somebody else described my childhood to me as their childhood, I'd be like, dang. But when you think about it, you kind of downplay it in your own head to not think that it was as bad as it actually was. Um, Mozart will make most people happy. So bouncy and upbeat, besides the Requiem, which I adore. Yep. I love classical music. I like certain class. I don't like all classical music, but I do probably like the majority of it. Some of it is depressing and I don't like it, but you're awesome and I'm so glad to have found you. Oh, you're so sweet. I'm glad you found me too. Whatever, I am your childhood. No, you're not. I didn't say you were stressful. You were a little brat, but so was I. It was everything else. And you probably have ADHD too. You're just denying it. Yep. And the green mill helps my ADHD, OCD, and number dyslexia here. The struggle is real. Yep. Yep. Stress can be trauma, and we do till it's shower or timer. This is my first time here, and I'm having a blast. Awesome, Donna. I find classical too stimulating. Folk music, ballads, and other hymnals are better for me. I love folk music. Ballads, like singing ballads. I don't know about that one. Hymns are good too, but they have, for me to listen to it, for it to be like a good distraction and to make me feel good, like they have to be upbeat. Just what it is. So cracking up. This is fun. Thanks. Going for now, though, until the next live adventure. Have a good one, Tag. My doctor, who finally diagnosed me with ADHD, has ADHD. I told her it takes one to know one. At least she laughed. Right? I can spot people with ADHD, especially kids. I've done a lot of vendor events, and like there'll be like a kid sitting next to me, and like there was this one particular event I went to, and like within 2 minutes I knew this kid. He was like 14 or something like that. I was like, I knew this kid had ADHD. And like, he's bouncing off the walls, he's doing all sorts of different things. It was like specific things that he was doing. And then like, I don't know, a few hours into the event, like the mom like apologized. She's like, I'm sorry, he's got ADHD. I was like, well, duh. I was like, I figured that out in the first 2 minutes. Don't even worry about it. And he was a cool kid, like totally awesome kid. But yeah, Adele's a good example of, I like Adele's music. That usually makes me happy. Do you play a musical instrument? I played clarinet for 1 year and trumpet for 1 year, but never since. Adele has a beautiful voice. She does. So I put cabbage leaf over the top with liquid over, put a little jar on top, then covered it with a cloth and rubber band. Should I pull it all out and taste the cabbage? How long to leave it? Yeah, with like a cabbage ferment, anything that is anything like that, you need to put a lid on, because the goal is to eliminate the oxygen. It's not just to submerge it under the oxygen. You want to eliminate as much of the air as possible. So you really got to put a lid, or a tight fitting lid, or an airlock, something like that. You got to put it on there. I would open it up. I would check on it, put everything back together. Just to make sure there's no mold that formed, because that's how mold can get in there also. But yeah, take it apart, check it, make sure your hands are clean before you do it. Take it apart, check it, put everything back together, and put a tight sealing lid on there. And then just let it ferment for longer. But yeah, I had a feeling there was oxygen getting in there. That's how you can kind of tell there's oxygen. There's a lot of different ways, but that's one of them. I play the radio really well. Does that count as a musical instrument? My son introduced me to some orchestral work from Two Steps from Hell. Awesome work. I can't really work when music with lyrics are playing. I think they specialize in games and themes music. Interesting. I love reading books. The story always change. Oh yeah. Do you go live every Monday night? Most Monday nights, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Most nights. I wasn't here last week because I was burnt out, but most nights. And coming up for the garden season, it'll depend on what's going on in the garden. If it gets really active, I might get overwhelmed and have to stop, but most Monday nights. My sauerkraut is almost 3 weeks old. It's not growing any mold or comm yeast, but it is odd muted green color. Yep, that's perfectly normal. The colors, they all kind of blend together. So if you notice, when you have cabbage, it's like green on the outside, but a lot of the core is white, and a lot like the inside of the leaves are white. So the color is going to spread through the whole thing, through all the layers of it. So while it went in, like you think it's green, but you won't be surprised how much white there is actually in there. So the color will spread, making it like a muted green color. And like, that's why if you make like a purple kraut, like the whole jar will turn completely purple, because the color spreads, because there's a lot of red and there's enough to cover the rest of the white that's in the jar. How are you replanted seeds going along? Fine. It's too soon to tell. So I don't know, but none of the other stuff sprouted. So I think it was a good decision. I'm just keeping everything watered and hoping for the best. We'll see what happens. Have you ever tried to grow banana squash in a container? I am not a container gardener, so no. When we first lived at our first property, when we first got, no, it's the second property, because as soon as we told my landlord that hubby was moving in, they're like, actually, we're getting ready to sell the property. So you might not want to make a whole bunch of life decisions based on that. So then we had to move. And uh, that place, we had a lot of container garden in there, but it was mostly tomatoes. And I've never grown a banana squash. I didn't even know they existed. I've heard of, oh no, banana squash. I'm trying to think if I've grown that. No, it was a candy roaster. Of course, yes, great decision. I don't know what that was. I love Marty Robbins and Willie Nelson. I don't know. I don't think I've heard of Marty Robbins. I like Willie Nelson, but it's not somebody I would choose to listen to above others. I really like George Ezra. He's one of my favorites. I don't know what it is. This is his voice or something. I put apple and juniper berries, so just get a mold off and save the rest. Put apple and juniper berries, so I just get mold off and save the rest. What? I don't understand that. If my ADHD and anxiety is really bad, I prefer bangs like Slipknot, Disturbed, FFDP, etc. But I have an extremely eclectic taste in music. Me too. I got Mike to drink the puer kombucha, and he actually liked it. The puer kombucha is the best. It is the best. Absolutely, hands down, it is the best by far of any other. It is superior. I love it. It's like it doesn't get like super puckery acidic like regular kombucha does. Like you can let it go and it can get pretty ripe, so to speak, but it doesn't make you pucker. It doesn't turn into like apple cider vinegar. You're too young for Marty Robbins. I don't know who Marty Robbins is. I like Marty Robbins and Willie Very Old Country. Okay. Have you ever listened to Yanni? I've heard of it, but I'm sure I've heard of a song, but I've never knowingly listened to it. No. Tiny Slice, Cheshire Cat, Smiling Moon, Tonight at the Sunset. I missed the sunset. The sunset was right before my live stream. The only thing I like about daylight savings is the extra hour in the evening. Other than that, it drives me crazy because I never sleep the night on spring. Like I literally got zero sleep, 0 minutes of sleep. I never fell asleep because I tried to go to bed early. Screwed up everything. I never fell asleep, and then I was sleep deprived. So then I got sleep. I got like 13 hours of sleep last night to make up for it, and then I woke up sick. Yay! Tried all hers, and it's the only one I like. Yep. I agree. I make lemon ginger flavored puer. Oh, I love lemon ginger kombucha. I meant if it's all blackish on top, it's mold. No. Take that off and put a lid on and back to ferment. It's likely not mold unless it looks like mold. It's probably just oxidation because of the extra exposure to oxygen. So it darkens it. If you look at it and it looks like mold, like it's fuzzy, it's furry, if it's black, I would just throw the thing away. But most likely it's just oxidized. Look up, Google oxidized ferment. And as long as if you look at it and you're like, dang, that's mold, I would throw it away. You don't want to mess with black mold. But if you look at it and you're like, that's not mold, what is it? Type into the Google machine, oxidized vegetables, oxidized ferment, or something like that, and look at the pictures and compare the two. And if that's what it is, don't worry about it. Just just make sure it's submerged. There's nothing bad about it. It's just oxidized. Yanni is a male musician. My bad. I don't know who it is, so it's not exactly a gender revealing name. So sorry. I'm pretty sure that kimchi will let you know when it's gone off. Am I wrong? Well, I mean, it'll mold and kimchi already smells kind of weird to begin with, but it's mostly just mold. Like that's the main thing that you have to be concerned about with vegetable ferments. There's not a whole lot else that you need to be worried about. I couldn't sleep that night either. I have to go to bed and wake up at the same time. Daylight savings messes up my routine. It sure does. The fall one doesn't bug me, but the spring one, I swear, every single year I try to go to bed early because I'm trying to adjust my schedule anyway. It got kind of out of whack. I don't have to wake up or go to sleep at a certain time, almost any night, but I want to be on a good sleep schedule. I want to be awake before sunrise. And so I was trying to do that, and it backfired big time. I'm not falling back this fall. I'm retired, and flipping back and forth is harder each year. It's true. I hoped it would work as it was exciting to do. I couldn't sleep that night either. Oh, I read that one. Spent 3 years in Arizona and loved it. There is no daylight savings there. I lived for 3 months in Arizona, and then I left because it was Arizona. There was other reasons to it, but I only lasted 3 months, and I have no intention of ever going back. It's not my thing. For a lot of reasons. Anyways, Enya. Ooh, I like Enya. The like 2 songs I've heard of hers. I have insomnia and I'm trying to fix my sleep hygiene. I don't know what sleep hygiene is, but I have insomnia as well. That's my struggle because my ADHD doesn't let my brain turn off. So it sucks. But one thing, several things that do help, if I take magnesium, I take it in high doses for other reasons, but I just take it right before I go to sleep because it helps with sleep. But also, valerian root is my saving grace. I'll tell you what, valerian root is the only reason I sleep. Only reason. Hawaii doesn't, they do daylight savings. New Zealand doesn't change time until April. Huh, I was wondering, I was talking to somebody the other day, wondering if the daylight savings is international or not. I didn't know if it was just like an isolated weird American thing or not. Northern Arizona has actual seasons. Yeah, I was in Tucson, so it had no seasons. It had hot and hotter and death. That's what it had. Buy a headband similar to what you're wearing, listen to music in bed. No way am I frying my brain with waves all night long. I appreciate the thought, but no, not going to do that. I'm retired. The time change doesn't bother me. I'm not retired either. Well, I'm not retired. But my schedule is mine to choose, except for basically market times when I'm doing markets. But, like I have no life apart from just I make videos and I garden and that's about it. So my schedule is my own. But anyways, UK here daylight savings time is different date than yours though. Okay, so it's not just an American thing. It's just each country does their own thing. That's cool. Valerian root is the bomb. It sure is. Southern Louisiana, you need air conditioning just to be miserable. Yup. Yup. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. It's mostly the alligators, but I also don't understand the other things. Love Arizona weather, but I live in Canada, so the heat was a nice change. I bet it was a nice change. See, that's why we moved there because we went on vacation there and we got vacationitis, and then we're like, let's move there, and then we moved there, and I was like, I'm leaving. Um, so yeah, you got to be careful of vacationitis. It's a real thing. It'll screw you over. Sleep hygiene is like no blue light an hour before. Oh, I don't do any of that. All lights out, going to bed, waking up at the same time, etc. I use a magnesium oil tallow butter to I make to increase my magnesium. I've thought about making magnesium oils and things like that, but I just haven't done it. I should though. But I ran out of magnesium like a week ago, so hopefully it's in my mailbox Tuesday. I think it was supposed to come tomorrow. I got to have my 4 seasons. What kind of mag do you use? I originally started out with magnesium oxide. Is it oxide? Magnesium oxide. I feel like it's oxide. And for the reason that I was using it, it's to help move things along. And so my thinking was magnesium oxide, only 20% of it is absorbed. So it makes sense for the reasons that I'm taking it, that I would take it. And it worked great. And then now I can't remember which naturopath, but one of the naturopaths I was using suggested that I switch to magnesium citrate because it's more absorbed. I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then this last time that I ordered it, which I haven't received yet, I went back to magnesium oxide. we'll see how it goes. But basically, just because it's cheaper. I only use it for one reason, and if I can get that one reason for a cheaper price, I'm going to do it. I love the heat bringing on in the 90s plus weather, and I'll still build a fire. Oh my gosh. No. I like heat. I love being warm. I enjoy the summers, even here in Missouri when it's miserable, hot as balls. But you know what? I don't want that every single day of my life. I don't even want it half the time. So I like having seasons as well. I also like to have seasons because it kills off snakes and bugs, and they don't exist in the winter, you know? Like that's one thing that I loved about Washington. There was nothing. The only thing in Washington state that wanted to kill me was the government. That was it. Nothing else, you know? Like there was like almost no poisonous spiders. There's no snakes, none of that. But if you have to live in a place that has those things, at least they get killed off in the summer, unlike freaking Florida, where their bugs get to be the size of a Volkswagen. No, thank you. Arizona booms. I live here in Tucson, and you are so wrong. I'm glad you live where you're comfortable. There was a lot of reasons that went into it, but it's a whole different backstory that I will never go into. But yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. I love things that are green. That's one thing that I miss here in Missouri during the winter. Everything turns brown. Everything dies. The grass dies. All the leaves fall off the trees. But like in Washington, it was green all the time, all year long, because it's the evergreen state. Because most of the trees are evergreen. Very few are deciduous. So, it's just different. But I'll still take it. Grasshoppers wiped out the plants. Oh, that sucks. Arizona has scorpions. I found a scorpion in my pantry here. They exist here too. That's the only one I've ever seen was a dead one. Magnesium oil itches me like crazy. Oh, interesting. It was 60 today in Minnesota. I still kept my fire going because it drops to 30 at night. Need that freeze for bugs and others. Exactly. See, that's the bright side. You get a nice deep freeze, like 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and ensure that everything gets killed off. And the snakes hibernate during the cold. The bears hibernate during the winter. Like, there's a reason for the winter. I'll accept it, We had 2 weeks of 90 plus degrees here. We were about wanted to die. We like the cooler temps. I don't. Scorpions in Missouri. A scorpion. I don't know where it came from. It was just dead in my pantry. I walked in there, about crap myself seeing a scorpion. It was like this big. I also found a centipede, but the centipede was in my glue trap. So I don't know. Up here in Minnesota too, wood boiler still going strong. Sweet. Still here. Had to run out for. Oh, we're overdue. We're past due. It's time to go. I need to finish editing my video for tomorrow, and then I need to go to sleep. And I need to stop bouncing around on this ball. Does that look weird? Anyways, I'm gonna go. I have so much energy right now. I need to go run around the block. Yeah, right. I don't run. I think the ball is a success. Me too. The whole freaking night. Not a single freaking yawn. Who would have thought? All this time, it was my freaking awful posture. And I have great posture sitting on this ball. So this sucker's a winner because I was so self-conscious about yawning on these live streams. You have no idea. So anyways, I'm going to go finish editing my video so that I can get it out to you guys tomorrow. And peace out, sauerkraut.